Welcome to News Edge, your sharpest source for daily headlines and deep dives. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay ahead of the curve. The once stable partnership between the United States and Canada, long celebrated for its seamless cooperation and mutual prosperity, is now facing one of its most serious tests in recent memory. Recent trade talks between the two nations have collapsed, leaving both economies in a state of uncertainty and limbo. At the heart of the dispute are steep U.S. tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, measures that have sent shockwaves through industries on both sides of the border. Canada has taken a firm stance, refusing to return to the negotiating table until these tariffs are lifted, creating a tense and prolonged standoff. This breakdown marks a significant crack in decades of trust, cooperation, and open markets that have defined the U.S. Canada relationship. The Trump administration's aggressive use of tariffs, aimed at protecting American industries, has upended the long-standing balance and introduced new friction into the relationship. From Canada's perspective, these tariffs are not only unfair, but also deeply damaging to their economy. Canadian leaders have made it clear, no further trade discussions will happen until the tariffs are removed. The stalemate became unmistakable when Canada's top negotiator left Washington without a deal, a powerful and public statement of Canada's resolve and frustration. As the deadlock drags on, industries and workers on both sides of the border face mounting uncertainty, with jobs and livelihoods hanging in the balance. The silence between the two governments is growing more tense by the day, leaving many citizens and businesses worried about the future of this crucial alliance and the economic stability it once provided. Around the globe, the world is watching closely, waiting to see if these two neighbors can overcome their differences and repair one of the world's most important and enduring friendships. At the heart of the conflict is the Trump administration's use of Section 232 to impose sweeping tariffs, 25% on imported steel and 10% on aluminum, citing national security concerns. The administration argued that protecting domestic metal industries was essential to ensure the United States could meet its defense needs in times of crisis or war. The U.S. government claimed that heavy reliance on foreign metals, especially from countries that might not be reliable partners, could threaten the strength and readiness of its defense industry. Steel and aluminum are critical for building tanks, aircraft, ships, and other military equipment. Canada, a longtime military ally and one of the largest suppliers of steel and aluminum to the U.S., was stunned by this justification. For decades, the two countries have stood shoulder to shoulder in defense alliances like NATO and NORAD. In response, Canada hit back with retaliatory tariffs on a wide range of U.S. goods, targeting not just steel and aluminum, but also products like ketchup, whiskey, and even lawnmowers. The goal was to send a clear message and create economic pressure. By targeting key American exports, Canada hoped to pressure U.S. business owners and workers to lobby their government for an end to the dispute, highlighting the interconnectedness of the two economies. Canadian leaders called the tariffs not only illegal under international trade rules, but also an insult to the close alliance and friendship between the two nations. Protests erupted across Canada, with many feeling betrayed. The standoff has stalled progress on the new USMCA trade deal, tying its fate to the removal of tariffs. Negotiators found themselves at an impasse, unable to move forward while the tariffs remained in place. For Canadians, the national security argument is especially hard to swallow. After all, Canadian steel is used in U.S. tanks, warships, and other military equipment. The two countries' defense industries are deeply intertwined. The dispute is about more than just money. It's about mutual respect, trust, and the very foundation of the U.S. Canada relationship. Both sides know that their partnership is vital, but tensions remain high. Until the tariffs are lifted, Canada has made it clear that it will not move forward with broader cooperation or trade agreements. The sense of urgency grows as industries on both sides of the border feel the impact. The entire North American economy hangs in the balance, with jobs, investment, and the future of cross-border trade at stake. The world watches as two close allies struggle to resolve a dispute that affects millions. Canada's stance has been unwavering, The U.S. tariffs must be removed with no quotas or conditions. Accepting quotas would set a dangerous precedent, suggesting Canada's exports are a security risk. Canadian leaders fear this would damage their reputation as a reliable trading partner. Their refusal to compromise is about defending fair trade between trusted allies. When asked to return to talks, Canada's response was clear: not until the tariffs are gone. This resolve has surprised the U.S. and become the main reason for the deadlock. Political unity in Canada has strengthened negotiators' resolve. Even rival parties support the government's tough position. Canada's line in the sand is not a bluff. It's a matter of national pride and principle. The world is seeing a rare show of unity from Canada in defense of its interests. This trade war isn't just about governments. It's hitting workers and businesses hard. Every day, the impact is felt on factory floors, in boardrooms, and in small towns across North America. Canadian steel and aluminum industries face higher costs and job uncertainty. Many workers worry about layoffs, while companies struggle to absorb the extra expenses or pass them on to customers. U.S. farmers and exporters are also suffering from Canada's retaliatory tariffs. Crops sit unsold, and export businesses lose vital markets, putting rural communities at risk. Decades-old supply chains that cross the border multiple times are now disrupted. Products that once moved freely now face delays, inspections, and extra paperwork, slowing down business. Tariffs add costs at every step, making North American products less competitive. Consumers may see higher prices, and companies may be forced to cut back on production or staff. The biggest damage may be the uncertainty. Businesses hesitate to invest or hire when rules can change overnight. Plans for expansion are put on hold, and entrepreneurs think twice before starting new ventures. This chilling effect slows economic growth on both sides. Communities that depend on trade feel the pinch, and the broader economy loses momentum. Industry groups and workers are urging leaders to end the dispute. They're calling for a return to stable, predictable trade so businesses can plan for the future. They know the two economies are deeply intertwined, and a trade war has no winners. Cooperation, not conflict, is the only way forward for lasting prosperity. The message from factories and farms is clear: restore stability and let us get back to work. People want to focus on building, not battling. The longer the standoff lasts, the greater the risk to jobs and prosperity. Families worry about their futures, and communities brace for more losses. The pressure on leaders to find a solution is mounting. The stakes are high, and the time to act is now, before more damage is done to workers, businesses, and the economy as a whole. The dispute has played out in public, with leaders using speeches and social media to make their case. President Trump's aggressive rhetoric has painted Canada as an unfair trading partner. Canadian leaders, in contrast, have responded with calm, measured statements, emphasizing the importance of the relationship. This public back and forth has often made compromise harder. Trump's unpredictable comments have complicated behind-the-scenes negotiations. Canada's strategy: stay consistent, avoid escalation, and build support among U.S. lawmakers and businesses. The clash of diplomatic styles has deepened the stalemate and highlighted a fundamental disagreement on how allies should resolve disputes. The new USMCA trade deal, meant to replace NAFTA, is stuck in limbo because of the tariffs. All three countries have signed the agreement, but it can't take effect until their legislatures approve it. Canada refuses to ratify the deal until the U.S. lifts the metal tariffs, using the agreement as leverage. The Trump administration is eager to see USMCA ratified, but Canada's stance puts the deal on hold. Mexico also opposes the tariffs, adding pressure on the U.S. Without Canada and Mexico's approval, the old NAFTA rules remain, prolonging uncertainty. The fate of North American trade now depends on resolving the tariff standoff. This is about more than steel. It's about the entire framework for trillions in trade. The tariffs are a roadblock to economic progress for the continent. Only a solution to the dispute can unlock the future of North American partnership. Despite the deadlock, there are still ways out of this dispute. The simplest: The U.S. lifts the tariffs, meeting Canada's demand. Pressure from American businesses and Congress could force a change in the White House's position. Another option is a compromise, perhaps a voluntary export limit, though Canada has resisted quotas. Congress could also refuse to ratify USMCA until the tariffs are resolved, increasing pressure on the administration. Ultimately, both sides need flexibility and a willingness to find common ground. The current freeze is unsustainable. Economic and political costs are rising. Both countries have strong incentives to restore stability and rebuild trust. This conflict is about more than trade. It threatens the foundation of U.S.-Canada relations. The use of national security as a justification for tariffs shocked Canadians and damaged trust. Canada is now diversifying its trade, signing deals with Europe and Asia to reduce reliance on the U.S. How this dispute ends will shape the future of the partnership. A solution based on respect and free trade could repair the damage and strengthen the alliance. If resentment lingers, cooperation on other issues could suffer. Restoring the relationship will take more than a deal. It will require rebuilding trust. The world is watching to see if these neighbors can reaffirm their commitment to peace and prosperity. The tariff standoff has become a defining test of trust between the U.S. and Canada. What began as a trade policy has evolved into a challenge to the core of their alliance. The U.S. America First approach clashes with Canada's belief in alliances and predictable rules. Labeling Canadian steel a security threat struck at the heart of the relationship. Canada's firm response is about defending its identity and the principle of equal partnership. The outcome remains uncertain, but the dispute has already left a mark. Even the strongest friendships can be strained when core values are challenged. The real challenge now is not just removing tariffs, but rebuilding trust and shared purpose. Relationships between nations, like between people, require constant work. The future of U.S.-Canada relations depends on restoring the respect that has allowed both countries to prosper together.